The Cardinals are making some upgrades to their stadium. It doesn't change the fact that their team shop has absolutely nothing and that Glendale is a pain in the butt to get to, but they're making some upgrades to their stadium nonetheless. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garrett 9, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about this team behind me right here, the Arizona Cardinals, making some announcements earlier today that they're going to be upgrading State Farm Stadium by adding new luxury seating to the venue. They're adding these things called Casitas, and these Casitas are basically the Cardinals' version of beachfront property behind one of the end zones, and each Casita will feature access to a garden club, all-inclusive premium food and beverage options conveniently located inside the thing, so you don't have to leave, which is awesome. Exclusive valet parking, a massive plus. 2 levels with an indoor space and a rooftop deck. 20 guests can be accommodated in those. You get your own front yard, just steps from the end zone. You get a private entrance, which is really, really cool. You don't have to go through security. Granted, Cardinal security is pretty easy to get through. I've never had to wait more than 2 minutes going to a game. And you get what they call a luxury away game experience, so no idea what that means or what that entails. But it seems like you get a lot of cool perks with this Casita. Now, I want to talk about this, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and what is very, very bizarre about this. First off, you can't hate on this. It's not replacing anything. These Casitas are not replacing anything. They're replacing seats that for preseason games didn't even exist. You only have 3 rows of bleachers or something like that. You didn't have the full set of bleachers in or the full set of seats in until the regular season, and those seats were pretty bare bones as it was. So these Casitas are replacing absolutely nothing for all intents and purposes. It's almost like the debate in Epcot. There's a lot of debate in Epcot about whether or not Epcot World Showcase should feature intellectual properties like Frozen, like Coco, like Ratatouille, or whether it should be pure non-Disney properties and should just be a showcase of the world. There's a lot of debate about that. But the outrage when Frozen got put into the Norway Pavilion versus when Ratatouille got put in to the France Pavilion was like night and day, because Frozen was replacing Maelstrom. Ratatouille was replacing nothing. Nothing existed there. So it's kind of like that. Even if you don't think these Casitas are a good idea, they're not replacing anything of value, anything of substance whatsoever. So I can't hate on this move for the Cardinals to add a luxury seating like this. Having said that, I am confused by a lot about what this is and how they made this announcement. First off, they advertise an indoor area. Why would you advertise an indoor area? Why do you need an indoor area? The stadium's indoors as it is. Now, granted, obviously there are times where the roof is open, but the weather is not an issue. I totally get indoor clubs for outside venues as a way to protect yourself from weather. As an example, the Jaguars, Everbank Stadium, they have a club on the 50-yard line. It gives you access to the indoors, which is really, really nice if it's brutally hot outside or it's raining. So I get that. But do you really need to be indoors for an already indoor stadium? Weather's never going to be an issue there. I don't know why you would need to do these double-decker areas with indoor spaces. You don't need to get away from people. That's not the point of this, because you're in the same 20-person area, presumably with people that you like. And on top of that, the soundproofing, you need to get away from the sound. Well, you won't be able to do that here. The soundproofing is probably god-awful, because there's no way it's a permanent structure, because there's no way this is going to exist for stuff like concerts. I'd be very, very surprised if this does exist for things like concerts and other events that are not football games for the Cardinals. On top of that, the concept art is god-awful. I have to just criticize the concept art for a few seconds. Number one, look at the highlight they're showing. They're showing a highlight from a game between the Arizona Cardinals and the Chicago Bears. The Cardinals lost that game. The Cardinals lost that game 27-16. Why would you show a highlight from that game? Of all the games you could pick literally any play. You won 4 games last year. It's not like we're the 76 Bucks. You won 4 games. Why not pick a highlight from a game you actually won? And you can't even say, well, maybe it was a Sounds of the Game montage from the previous week, and that's the mock-up, because the following week they were on the road against the Eagles and they won that game. So you can't even say that. The Sounds of the Game would have been something from the Eagles game. Why not pick a game that they won out of the 4 games? So I don't get that part. On top of that, you can clearly see the Cardinals are lined up on offense. I can't tell what team they're playing, but they're lined up on offense. You can see the way the offensive line is lined up. You can see the way the receivers are lined up. You see Dan Mercado, number 31 out there. But then you see number 23. That's Sean Murphy-Bunting. He's a quarterback. Is Sean Murphy-Bunting going to replace a wide receiver next year? Does Gannon have some weird schemes drawn up, trick plays? Like, this doesn't make any sense. This mock-up was made by people who don't really know football and understand this. I just had to criticize the mock-up for a second because I thought it was funny. On top of that, I noticed one thing immediately with this picture. Massive security issue. You want to deter fans from going onto the field, and this is about the worst way to do it. Now again, there are plenty of teams that have field-level options, the Miami Dolphins being one of them, so I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that that wall is way too low. What I am saying is that that wall is way too low. It is very easy to hop that wall. You won't have security guards in that area because it's blocking people's views. You'll probably have 2 security guards, one off to either side. So a fast person who rushes the field has a massive head start, and you have no idea what they're going to do. That wall is way too low. They're going to have to raise that wall. Hopefully that's just in the mock-up, because that's a massive security issue that I see right off the bat. Now, in terms of the pricing, honestly, not terrible. I was very pleasantly surprised at the pricing for one of these casitas. If you want to buy a casita, you want to buy one ticket for a whole season, $10,000, which, honestly, not bad. Would I do it? No, but $1,000 a game, 10 games in a season, so if you include preseason, you get a private entrance, valet parking, food is all included. You probably get a lot of other perks as well. Honestly, not a bad deal. I gotta give the Cardinals credit here. This is not a bad deal. I would have thought it'd be like $25K for the whole season. $10,000? Not terrible. If you like those kinds of seats. I'm not crazy about field level seats. I think they're too low. I like sitting higher up, but for field level, that's not bad. Having said that, the part about this that really got me is everything that was said about these casitas, everything about this luxury experience for the Cardinals, because this was a massive puff piece for owner Michael Bidwell. A massive puff piece, and they're not even trying to deny it, with one of the weirdest statements I've ever seen a team put out about stadium upgrades and renovations. You would think that the statement put out about upgrades and renovations would include what these renovations are, listening to fan feedback, listening to people about their experiences, tracking everything that else that was happening in the NFL. You would think it'd be something about that. But no, the statements put out just praised Bidwell for this. They let you know it was entirely Bidwell's idea. All hail Michael Bidwell for this idea. Now, keep in mind, Michael Bidwell got an F in the NFLPA report card, one of just 3 owners to do that. He was absolutely terrible as an owner and has been for quite some time based on the on-field performance and some of the stuff that's happened off the field. Obviously, there was the whole piece that got put out last year about Bidwell and the environment and how toxic it could have been in Arizona, and players weren't allowed to do certain things or they had to pay for certain things. This is an attempt to fix that, and I'm just laughing at how bad this statement is. So, Cardinals Chief Operating Officer Jeremy Walls, when talking about the renovations, talking about the luxury experience, so this was completely unprompted, he said this: "Let me be very clear. This project is the result of specific vision and direction from Michael Bidwell. Organization-wise, he has challenged all of us to reimagine the way we conduct business both on the field and off, to be bold and aggressive and to think in different ways to get better, to modernize, grow our business, and be stronger as an organization. Every single person in our organization understands that, and this project grew from that vision and that direction." That's Michael Bidwell, folks. That's Michael Bidwell. This was all Michael Bidwell's idea. And it keeps going, because Wells then added, "It's easy to fall behind quickly, but Michael has been insistent on constantly reinvesting in improvements and enhancements and upgrades to modernize not just the building, but the surrounding areas that are such an important part of the game day experience for our fans. These are important projects to keep the fan experience at State Farm Stadium at the top of the league, and Michael deserves a ton of credit for that." So all the praise for this project is being heaped on Michael Bidwell. This was entirely Michael Bidwell's idea to add field-level seats, which is not a revolutionary idea in the slightest bit. Are we really buying that? Are we really buying that? Why did you have to put out that statement? Like, that is propaganda right there. That is 100% propaganda. Why would you put out a statement talking about the luxury enhancements and then saying, yeah, this was all our owner's idea? Our owner is great. Our owner is incredible. Look at how great our owner is. Look at what he's doing. Like, how incredible is this? All hail Michael Bidwell. Like, what are you doing here? It was just a bizarre statement, just a really bizarre statement that leaves a lot more questions than answers in my mind, because most of these statements usually are pretty mundane. They're pretty explanatory in terms of what these enhancements are, how they're going to enhance the experience, and they hype them up. And this one doesn't talk about that. It just talks about how brave an owner Michael Bidwell is. So we'll see. I have my doubts. Having said that, the Casitas Yeah, it's a bit hit or miss in terms of things, but the price point's pretty solid, and it's not really replacing anything of value, anything of substance. I've got no problem with this. Am I going to try out a casita? No, I'm not spending $1,000 to go to a Cardinals preseason game and try out a casita, but I'm sure a lot of Cardinals fans will want to try out one of these casitas, and we'll see what the experience is like as the 2024 season happens in a few months. But what are your thoughts on this proposal? What are your thoughts on the statement made by the Cardinals and made by Officer Jeremy Wells? Do you think these casitas are a good idea? Do you think they're a bad idea? Do you think the price point is too much? Do you think it's pretty reasonable? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And how would you rate State Farm Stadium if you've been to that stadium? What are your thoughts on it? What do you like? What do you not like? I've got my thoughts. I mentioned them on stream before. I think this is a good move. But that's going to do for this episode of JJ9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, Jaguar9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguar9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.